Under the blazing sun of a dusty frontier town, where the wind carried whispers of gunfights and dreams long buried under sand, there walked a woman who was both impossible to ignore and impossible to truly see. Clara Hensley, standing in awe, striking 7 feet and 3 inches tall. A figure who cast shadows longer than any man in the valley. Her broad shoulders, strong arms, and towering frame had been a curse in her own eyes since childhood, for in a land where beauty was measured by delicate curves and a woman's worth was often tied to her ability to bear children, Clara was told, time and time again, by both family and strangers, that her size made her unnatural, undesirable, and not breeding material, a cruel phrase she had heard so often it became a brand on her soul. So she lived on the outskirts of society, chopping wood for a living, mending fences for pennies, and keeping her heart locked away like a vault no one had the key to, until one day a stranger rode into town, a broad-chested, weather-worn cowboy named Luke Mathers, who had the kind of eyes that didn't just look at a person. They looked into them. He'd come to town with nothing but a tired horse, a satchel of tools, and a reputation for fixing whatever was broken, whether it was a wagon wheel or a man's spirit. And when he first laid eyes on Clara outside the general store, her long braid swinging down her back as she hoisted a barrel of grain with ease, his lips curled into a half-smile, the kind that said he'd found something worth staying for. But Clara, used to stares filled with mockery or fear, didn't trust it. When Luke tipped his hat and offered a "Ma'am," she muttered a curt, "Don't waste your manners on me," and walked away. Yet something about the way he watched her, not in judgment, but in awe, stuck in her mind like a thorn she couldn't shake. And over the next weeks, Luke kept finding reasons to cross her path, whether it was offering to help mend the fence on her property or sitting across from her in the saloon, telling stories of faraway places until she forgot to be self-conscious. Still, one evening when a group of drunken ranch hands cornered her outside the stable, jeering that no man in his right mind would want to breed a giant, Clara's voice cracked as she yelled for them to leave her be, and before they could take a step closer, Luke appeared like a storm breaking the heat, his fists and fury scattering them into the dust, then turning to her with blood on his knuckles but tenderness in his voice as he said, "You don't have to stand alone anymore." From that night on, they were inseparable, working side by side on his small patch of land outside town, where he taught her to believe that her strength wasn't a flaw but a gift. How she could lift twice what most men could, how she could swing an axe for hours without tiring, how the earth itself seemed to respect her steps. And slowly, against every wall she'd built, love began to seep through, though the deepest scar remained, the fear that she could never give him children. One night by the fire, when the flames painted gold across her worried face, she confessed it outright, her voice small for the first time in years. "Luke, my body's too big, I'm not breeding material," expecting him to turn away like everyone before, but instead he took her hand, kissed the rough calluses, and whispered, "You're everything material, Clara. Wife, partner, and maybe one day, mother. I don't need perfect, I need you." And the tears that slipped down her cheeks were the first she'd let fall for anyone in decades. Months passed, and against the odds, against her own belief in her body's inability, Clara found herself staring at a trembling line on a small piece of paper the town doctor handed her. She was pregnant. The impossible had happened, and when she told Luke, his arms wrapped around her like the safest place in the world, his laughter echoing across the open plains. The months that followed were not easy. Gossip still swirled. Doubters still whispered that a woman her size could never carry a child safely. But she met every challenge with the quiet ferocity Luke had always seen in her. And when the day came, under a sky split by lightning and rain, Clara brought their daughter into the world, a healthy, fierce-eyed baby who fit perfectly against her chest. As Luke kissed both their foreheads, he murmured, "Told you, Clara, everything material," and she knew that for the rest of her days, she would never again let anyone's small mind define her vast worth. So remember, friends, the world will try to tell you what you're not, but the right person will see all that you are and more. If you felt this story in your heart, hit that subscribe button and join us for more Wild West tales of courage, love, and the kind of people who change everything with a single choice.